Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. So my name is shirui, and this will be my final project presentation. And my topic is how did the gender and the sexuality changed in American history during the 19th century. Okay. And this will be my central argument. Through the entire 19th century, the concept of gender segregation imposed a narrow, confined, and submissive role on women. This traditional 19th century divides family role restrict their sexual orientation. At the same time, religions enforce the idea of 19th century women need to be purity and innocence. However, during this period, there was also a strong sense of resistance. Some individuals in key social occupations and some progress abolitionists with advanced idea openly changed the social confrontation, claiming to occupy new position in economic, social, political fields, thereby greatly expands of the possibilities for women to explore their lives and identities. So I will suppose these arguments through 5 primary sources, and during those 5 primary sources, we can find how the women faced the situation in that period. And we can see how they struggle and fight for their rights. And this is my primary sources list. In the 5 primary sources I choose, there's some of them are shows how women fight for the rights, and some of them shows how the difficult and the challenge they're facing. Okay, let's begin in 1836 with Harriet H. Robinson's account of the male workers' strike. The industrialization was reshaping America, and with it came new economic role for women. And for the first time, this is the first time the young women left their family farm to work in a mills. And this isn't just about earning some wages or income. It was about getting a measure of independence. And Robinson captured this spirit, and she said in these primary sources, "Oh, I cannot be a slave. I cannot be a slave for my so fond of liberty that I cannot be a slave." These women, they were not only laborers, they were pioneers, and their organization strikes formed a union and entered the public sphere, and they provide that women also can be actively, collectively, and they could demand the rights and could also define their place in society, not just at home, but it's in economic itself. Okay, next we turn to 1838 and the Sarah Green call for women's rights in 1838. And Gregg was an abolitionist and fight against slavery. She also began to fight against the operation of women, and she argued that the same logic that justified the slavery that one group was naturally inferior to another was used to subjugate women. And she wrote in these primary sources, I maintain that the men and women are equal, and that God never invested for women with unlimited power over his fellow men. And this is a radical claim. Gregg changed not only social moral but also the religion's interpretations that had long been used to silence women, and she called for education, equality, sexual autonomy, and rights to speak in the public. Her work laid the groundwork for women's rights movement that would be followed. And in 1833, we recounted the razzia decks who stood before the Massachusetts legislature to define the rights of the mentally ill, and Dex did not openly reject the area's idea of the womanhood. Instead, she used them. She appealed to the sense of the moral duty, a language that women were allowed to speak, to argue for public policy change. And she said in these primary sources, I come as the advance of helpless, forgottenness, incest, and adulterate men and women. By affirming her advocacy as an extent for women carrying role, Dex navigate the constraints for her time to achieve the real reform, and she helped establish the new institution that create a pathway for women in public service and social works. His strategy was so clever and shows us how women could work within a system and how women could work to change the system. Well, but not everyone was pushing to change. In 1851, the elder Smith divided the Samuel title on the duty of the Christian woman, and this text represents the powerful ideological force women were up against. Samuel preached that women should be peer-proud, domestic, and submissive. He used religion anxiety to reinforce the gender heredity, and the key quote in this primary sources is, wife, be a subjection to your own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed the head Abraham, calling him Lord. This was more than advanced. It was a theoretical mandate for female submission, and is controlling not only behavior but also psychology and identity. Remain women that they place was only at home and under the male authority. And finally, we have the sources at 1912, and it's Mary Pork Branch's memo for the plantation life. Well, it's not a progressive text actually. It's reflected the percentage of the traditional gender ideals were into the next century. And it reminds us to change was not a linear, not a universal. It's often because the resistance, and even that some women march towards a liberation, some women also the other women there's hold fast to old ways, and they really like and remembering the plantation life. And this is a big challenge those pioneers should face. So what can we learn from those 5 verses? The 19th century was not a simple story of proportions or liberation. It was so complex, often contradictory, struggling over the meaning of the womanhood, and women like Harold Robinson organized as a worker, and a woman like Sarah Graham organized as radicals. Women like Dorothea Dix organized as reformers, and they did not always agree. They did not always be success, but together they explained the space which women could live, work, love, and speak. They challenged the democracy of spirit sphere, not always by just rejecting it outright, but by reinterpreting it, structuring it, and sometimes stepping outside of it altogether. Their legacy is not just the law they changed or the institutions they built, but the probability they create for generations to come. And they shows that identity is not flex. It can be cast, resistant, and reinvented. Thank you for listening. And this is my work, Clit.